Rutgers fans, get excited. Get ready. The most exciting player in the country, Kiyomi McMiller, has announced her commitment to Rutgers. I'm about to give you my full reaction and explain why this makes complete sense to me coming up on this episode right now.
I'm like, yeah, you see it?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Josh, Kobe Bryant is the best scorer you've ever seen.
We can now rearrange history.
So I'm envisioning scenes on the way to the game.
I'm all for winning. I'm all for being competitive. But you took it to another level.
Good people, welcome to the Basketball Society podcast. My name is Martin Soaries. I'm the host of this show. Good to have you here, especially if you're a Rutgers fan, especially if this is your first time here. We're about to get into some huge news. Kiyomi McMiller announced her commitment to Rutgers over the weekend. I'm about to give you some thoughts on this, my full takeaway, and even tell you why I told Kiyomi months ago that I thought she should go to Rutgers. I'm about to get into it. I didn't get to go too in depth with her, but I'm going to go in depth here because this is where we talk it out. This is my show. I can do as much talking as I want. So I'm about to give you my thoughts on this. Again, if you're new to the show, if you're watching on YouTube, welcome, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for more basketball content and episodes of the podcast. We also have the podcast on Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening on there, be sure to leave a rating and review of the show and make sure you're subscribed to the show. Of course, this episode is brought to you by Protect Our Queens, where we give women's basketball all of the love, protection, and coverage that it deserves. Check out more Protect Our Queens content on the playlist right here on the channel. And also be sure to check out the Protect Our Queens podcast, which airs live on Tuesday nights on the Give Us a Shot network. My co-host Dwayne Marcus and I really appreciate the support so far, and we have a lot more women's basketball content coming this year. So be sure to go check out the Protect Our Queens podcast over on the Give Us a Shot network. So aside from the fact that I am technically a Rutgers fan, I live in the area. I grew up going to Rutgers women's basketball games. It was my first exposure to high-level women's basketball. Coach Stringer, the Hall of Fame coach, if you know anything about Rutgers women's basketball, you know about the legacy of Coach Stringer. She was a member of my dad's church, so she would bring team members to church sometimes, and my brother and I, as kids, became close with Rutgers players. We went to games. We saw them play UConn and Notre Dame and all these big time games at the RAC, which used to be the RAC. Now it's Jersey Mike's Arena. But my connection to the program, if you know me well enough, you know I have a connection to the program. All right. So there's a little inherent bias there. If you're really following along, especially with the show, you would know that our latest guest, the last guest we had on this show, was Rutgers women's basketball assistant coach Tasha Pointer, my big sister. Rutgers legend, led them to the Final Four in 2000. I was there. I still have my ticket over here framed. I forgot I had it, but I still have it. So I have a connection to the program. So, and I'm a fan of Kiyomi. So aside from that bias, I am going to give you a few reasons why I felt like this made sense for her to go to Rutgers. First, interesting enough, Kiyomi was the first guest on the Protect Our Queens podcast. When we launched the show back in September, Marcus and I over on the Give Us a Shot network, we actually got Kiyomi as our first guest on the show.
If you had to leave a legacy behind, like what would you want your legacy to be when you're done with the game of basketball?
That I'm the greatest of all time. And I want people to know that you don't have to play the game a certain way.
I got a chance to talk to Kiyomi after the show just for a few minutes, and I offered my 2 cents. At that time, she had her top 7 schools listed and out there, and Rutgers was one of them, of course. And I kind of just gave her my 2 cents. I didn't get to go in depth like I'm about to do on here, but I just gave her a couple little notes, couple thoughts based on what I knew about the landscape and programs that she was considering, especially Rutgers. And I gave her my quick pitch. I gave her my 2 cents about why I felt Rutgers would make sense for her. And I'm about to share it with you. There has been high level talent coming through Rutgers since I can remember. A lot of them I got to watch growing up as a kid, right? Tasha Pointer, Cappy Pondexter, Epiphany Prince, Essence Carson, Matee Adjavon, Tyler Scaife, the list goes on. All you have to do is go to a game and see the banner they have up in the arena of all the players from Rutgers that have moved on to the WNBA. Like the list just goes on and on, all the way up until, the last few years. Rutgers is a program and a brand that is used to attracting big talent. Now, the reality is a lot of that talent was usually going there to play for Coach Stringer because she was such a legend. She's had success. She became known for really maturing and developing not just basketball players, but young women. And obviously Coach Stringer's reputation speaks for itself, but that she drew a lot of that talent to Rutgers. She created that momentum and that buzz. And even though Coach Stringer's not there anymore, I still feel that you need to recognize where great talent has come through. And that still matters. The Rutgers brand still matters and is still tied to the greatness of Coach Stringer. And because I have seen, and anyone who knows Rutgers and understands has seen and understands that so much high caliber talent has come through there, to me that matters as a brand and as a program that is used to having high level talent. To me that matters. So Kiyomi has a legit established growing personal brand right now. And to me, when I looked at the potential schools that she had, and this isn't something I said to her, but just as I would think about, I really think Rutgers is the best place. I'm looking at the other schools, why would you take this growing, dynamic, strong brand of this unique, special basketball player? Why would you take that brand to Central Florida or down to Mississippi or to Morgantown, West Virginia? That's not where that brand belongs. No, and nothing against those programs. It's more about the locations of those programs. Ole Miss is in the SEC. We could see Kiyomi going up against LSU and South Carolina. That would be great. That would be dope. She had Florida State on her list, ACC. That's still a strong conference. But when I look at Rutgers was I think Penn State was in her top 7. That was the only other Big Ten school. But Rutgers is in the Big Ten. Rutgers is a 30 to 40 minute train ride to New York City, right? So when you talk about location, market, brand, the Big Ten, by the way, anyone paying attention? Do you know who's coming to the Big Ten next year? USC, Juju Watkins, UCLA, Kiki Rice. The Big Ten is growing and expanding. Huge football network, huge TV network, huge brands and schools that play in the Big Ten. In terms of brand, legacy, notoriety, the kind of established and strong brand that Kiyomi McMiller has, and is growing, Rutgers made a lot of sense. Another thing I was encouraged about was the head coach and that coaching staff. Obviously, I'm close with Tasha. She was the last guest on this show. We actually talked a bit on that episode about her expectations for the future of Rutgers, knowing full well the history of talent and the legacy of, success and standards and greatness that Coach Stringer had established. And I asked her on that episode where she felt like that would be going in the future with the program and with the talent that they were bringing in.
It's a proud legacy. And I'm saying this because Risa Grant, Patty and Mary Coyle, June Olakowski, Sue Wicks. I mean, we've had some straight up ballers here since the beginning. It was like the Wicks and Sticks show. And I'm saying this and I get excited about it because you have to know your history. And so for women's basketball here at Rutgers, we've always been a premier basketball school for women's basketball. And then you usher into the Stringer era and all of a sudden, it returns. And now we have the Coquese Washington era. And it's going to return.
You can't overlook the fact that someone like that is on staff, someone who played at Rutgers, who went to the Final Four, who was a high-level player. Tasha, listen, if you don't know about Tasha Pointer, if you didn't see that episode, if you don't know how people talk about her as a Chicago legend, the way she used to handle that pill, you need someone like that who can speak that sauce language with someone like Kiyomi, who's coming with every type of sauce there ever was. You also have Kalia Copper, who they brought on staff recently, WNBA player, WNBA champion, WNBA Finals MVP with the Chicago Sky, played at Rutgers. Now she has a position with the program. I think it's director of like athletic development, professional development, or culture, something like that. She has a position on staff. Don't overlook that. You know, you have a Rutgers alum, one of these great talents that played at Rutgers, who's having great success in the WNBA. She's right there on staff. I'm also encouraged by the head coach, Coach Washington. I was at her initial press conference. I've been paying attention. I've only got to meet her once, and we talked very briefly. But just based on what I've been seeing, even from how Rutgers is playing, their style of play, how they want to play, the personnel, the kind of players that Coach Washington seems to be interested in, I've been encouraged, and how I hear her talk about playing and her recruits and what she wants for the program. I told Kiyomi straight up, I'm pretty sure this is a head coach that is going to do maybe the most challenging task I think can be placed on any head coach right now, and that's coaching a talent like Kiyomi McMiller. I had to share with Kiyomi my 2 cents because I'm a fan of hers. Not only am I a fan, but I care so much about her, like a player of her talent level, going somewhere in college where we can all enjoy who she really is. And, you know, it's not to say that whoever, you know, wherever she goes, whatever coach coaches her just needs to roll out the red carpet, just give her the ball, give her the green light, and let her do whatever she wants to do. She needs to be coached, like every player at the next level. Show her things, simplify things for her, show her the reads, explain to her the pace. You know, the game just changes at the college level. Now, when you get a player of her caliber who can do whatever she wants with the basketball, it's a lot easier to kind of show her things because her IQ is up there, her skill level, her ability is already up there. So but she still has to be coached. She has to be coached and also unleashed at the same time. That's a very, very challenging task for a coach. Based on what I've been seeing from head coach Coach Washington, I felt like she would be a great candidate for that job, to coach Kiyomi McMiller in a way where we can enjoy her talent, her natural dynamic talent, but also see her be coached at a certain level where she's going to elevate her game. She's going to be comfortable, and she's going to feel able to make an impact on the program right away. So I have faith in the head coach to be able to do that, to coach this young lady. Now, the next part of this is the roster, the players and the personnel, how they embrace Kiyomi. And that's important. You know, up to this point, Kayleen Smikle has been their best player. And, you know, this isn't even to say that Kayleen is not special. Kayleen had a special freshman season. She's done special things on the floor for Rutgers so far. To me, it should be an environment, a culture of like, let's play together. I mean, you're bringing in even more talent, even more dynamic ability. Let's figure out a way to make this work. Right, we're bringing in more talent, and Rutgers, in terms of personnel, is doing nice things. If you watched, I mean, they have hoopers at different positions. Destiny Adams was a great pickup as a transfer from North Carolina. She's had double games. She's looking like a dominant force out there, which doesn't surprise me. I've watched her since high school in AAU. She's going to be a force. You know, the freshman guard, Lisa Thompson, she's dynamic. I like her. She's long. She's quick. She can do different things. You know, you've got a shooter in Jill Herder. You have another versatile forward in Antonia Bates who can do different things for you. I think both of their bigs, KB and China Cornwell, I think they're both seniors. So I think they'll probably have to reload on their bigs. Probably a good rim running big. But Rutgers has some good hoopers right now. Maya Petticord is a good, quick guard who can really play. So it's not like Kiyomi's coming into a situation where they don't have any talent. They don't have any players. Like, I don't think that would appeal to a player of Kiyomi's caliber. Like, sure, you want to go somewhere where you can be yourself and help and impact things right away. But it doesn't mean you want to just go to a team that's not competitive, that doesn't have good players. Part of what you look for, I would think, is you want to see potential on the roster. You want to see good players that you might want to rock with, that you might want to play with. So, embracing a player like Kiyomi, it really has to be buy-in from head coach all the way down to through the whole program, through the whole roster, because she is such an impactful presence. Once you put the ball in her hands, once she gets out there, things change. She's dynamic. She can do things that you may not have seen other girls be able to do with that basketball. So that can be tough for certain players, especially if you're coming in as like the best player already. May rub you the wrong way. I don't know how that's going to affect Kayleen Smikle. My thing is always like play with other great talent. Give yourself a chance to do something special here, right? Put together, like, listen, Kayleen and Kiyomi together on one accord, working together, working off each other. That's a lot. That would be a lot to deal with. If they're both locked in, committed, bought in, and able to be themselves and really running that offense, bro, that's a dynamic backcourt that would be tough for a lot of people to figure out. That's shot making, that's points in the paint, that's playmaking. Between the two of them, you can account for a lot of offense. So I am kind of interested, not to make this only about Kayleen, but her as their best player, with a player coming in that's going to be an impact freshman right away, just like these freshmen you see this year taking the country by storm at Notre Dame and South Carolina, LSU, all these great freshmen. This is the kind of that Kiyomi's going to be that type of freshman next year. That's the kind of play you're going to be seeing from her at Rutgers. So, her teammates have to kind of buy in, and by now people know about her. You see the clips on Instagram. We've all heard of her, right? So her teammates know about her, her future teammates, I should say, at Rutgers. They know about her. They know what's coming in. Like, I'm not saying roll out the red carpet and just pander to her and let her do whatever she wants and kiss her feet. I'm just saying you have to know who's who. You have to know what is what. When you have a special player coming in, who, by the way, is a sweetheart. Kiyomi's not like, I've interviewed her. I've watched her play in person now. She's not, and you might watch highlights, you might just see the clips on Instagram and you see her taking a bunch of dribbles and getting a bucket, but you got to go watch a full game of her. The girl is a great basketball player, meaning she sees things, she looks for people, she pushes with pace. She just happens to be able to do whatever she wants with the basketball, dribbling wise. She can also shoot it from half court if she feels like. She she does have a lot to her. In fact, the first game I saw her in person, I was with Tasha. We went together to go watch her play. And Tasha's not the first Rutgers alumni I've talked to who has said to me that she's never seen a girl like this before. She's never seen a girl handle the ball like this before. The program has to be ready for what's coming in, because this is not just another, good recruit. This is a brand, this is a household name, and this is a girl that can do things that many of us have never seen a girl do. She is a show. The way she handles the ball, what she does with the basketball, she is a show, but she does things naturally. She doesn't put the ball through her legs in transition just to be cute and fancy. It's just built into her flow. It's built into her basketball DNA, and it creates more flow for her. So, it's not about cutting out things oh, you can't do that. Let her be loose. Let her be herself. That doesn't mean that she's going to take 40 shots a game, dribble the air out the ball, and not pass to anybody. It's not even realistic, especially at the college level. No college coach is letting you play like that. But Kiyomi has been taught to play basketball the right way. She told us that on our show when we interviewed her.
They're just seeing highlights. Highlights, it's just most of the time it's of like, scoring and stuff. Maybe I made a pass. But if you come to the whole game, you'll see I'm passing, I'm scoring, I'm making the right play. My parents taught me to make the right play, like make the right decision. So if the right decision is for me to score, then I'm gonna make that decision. But if the right play is to make the pass, I'll make the pass. Like, I'm playing the game. I know what I'm doing. Like, people can't tell me I'm not doing the right. Like, I've been taught the right way. I know I've been taught the right way.
She's not like some ball hog that's just looking to take every shot. She wants to create and make the right pass, make the right play, and play good basketball. So if you get a Kiyomi McMiller, a talent, a special talent like that, who can buy in to not just being herself, but playing good basketball, which she already wants to do, and you have personnel, a roster, a coaching staff that is able to empower her, encourage her to be herself, and coach her the way players need to be coached at that level, that's how life can change very quickly for Rutgers women's basketball. And to me, it makes complete sense. If you liked this episode of the Basketball Society podcast, I need you to go down and click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to Basketball Society for more content, breakdowns, interviews, and episodes of the show.